Hey, what's going on? I want to introduce you to something that you may or may not have seen on this channel, maybe in the background of a video, maybe I've talked about it briefly, but that is my very first e-bike. Check this thing out. Now I know it doesn't look like much, but we are going to get it back up and running again. But first, let me tell you a little bit about this. Now, I made it back in 2018, and if you actually want to watch that series, I have it posted on my other channel. I'll link the playlist and you can check out the process of putting it together. Now we're in 2022. I want to get this thing running again and cleaned up and ready to go. But this motor was a front hub motor. It was 1,000 watts. And now that I think about it, understanding e-bikes a little bit more, the fact that I mounted a 1,000 watt motor on such a frail frame is actually pretty terrifying. Here was the battery to it. I don't even know if it holds a charge anymore. I spent a lot of money on it, but I think I had it made on Alibaba. And then that's the controller right there. And of course, it just looks like a mess. The reason why I'm talking about it today in 2022 is because a few months ago, a company reached out to me called Yose Power, and they said that they had an e-bike kit, and they saw my e-bike content. They said that they had a kit to turn any bike into an e-bike. And I got thinking, I was like, I don't really have a bike. And then it dawned on me, I had this thing sitting in my garage for several years, ready to be turned into something else. And that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to get this bike all cleaned up and ready to go. But let's talk about what Yose Power sent me. This is the box that it came in. As you can see, it's quite a big box, and we'll just go through the contents here. Of course, here's a user manual, but they do have a great instructional video online. I'm going to set that aside for now. And then right on top here, looks like I have the charger. So I'll set that aside for now. And it has this triangle bag. My assumption is that this is going to help me with cable management, but we'll see. But there's the company's logo right there. Yose Power, we'll set that aside as well. All right, and here is the battery. Pretty big battery. It's a 48 volt, 500 watt motor, and I believe the controller is actually built right within the battery, so we don't have to worry about that. Okay, and then here are some necessary tools. Looks like I'm gonna have to replace the brake levers because this is gonna have my power cut off to the motor for safety, and a few other things here, so we'll get to that. Here is, it looks like the throttle, a few zip ties, and some cables. Then we have the motor. Again, this is a 48 volt, 500 watt motor. So with this kit, I'm gonna be removing this front hub motor, the controller, and mounting the battery and controller from the Yose Power, and then installing a rear hub motor on the back of this bike. So I'm gonna strip the old system off of the bike, get it cleaned up, and then we'll get into the installation of the Yose Power kit. So it's pretty much stripped down to where I want it to be cleaned. We're gonna clean it up right now. I'm gonna clean up the rear tire's cassette because that's actually what we're gonna be putting on the Yose Power motor. And then of course I'm going to clean up the front tire. Luckily I kept that, so we'll be restoring that. And what do you guys think? Should I put the mountain bike treads back on? I think I'm going to. So to clean my bike, I'm going to be using this super convenient wireless power washer from Hoto. I actually got it so I could clean my bikes, the Super 73, the Talaria, but I'm first going to use it on this little project that I'm doing here. Now you might remember this company from the air compressor that I also received from them, but I'm actually really excited to use this. What you do is you hook this in to a bucket right there. I'm just using like a Coleman water dispenser, and then it has several settings. So right now I'm going to try the foam setting, but then it has your different angles for your nozzle, and then it also has a shower setting as well. Let's get this bike washed. If you're interested in one of these, I'll have a link in the description below where you can pick one up for yourself. Again, that's the wireless power washer from Hoto. Got the bike all nice and foamy. Now let's spray it off. There you go, that's the wireless power washer from Hoto. very cool. So while I get everything set up, let's go ahead and get this battery charging. Has this interesting XLR, like a microphone charger here, so I'll get that plugged in. All right, red light's on, looks like it's charging. So we'll let that do its thing. So let's talk about the wheel that they send. Because I'm mounting this on a bike with gears, then I actually have to take the cassette off of my old bike and install it on the new bike. With that in mind, they actually provide a tool to do that. This is a freewheel removal tool. Now, before you do this install, you're going to want to make sure what you have. This is a freewheel on my bike, but you might also have a cassette on your bike. And with that, it's a different tool. So when you order this kit, you're going to want to specify which tool you need. Now, if you get the wrong tool in the kit, you can always get one of these at a local bike shop or something. So it's not the end of the world if that happens. So there's a couple of things that we need to poach from the old tire. Like I said, this cassette here. Also, we need the tube on the inside, and I believe there's a rim liner that we'll need to get as well because this doesn't come with one. So let's move this aside for now and let's get working on the old tire. All right, so that took a little persuasion. With this adjustable crescent wrench on, I actually put my foot on it with the tire on the ground and just bounced on a little bit to break it loose. But now I have it loose and I should be able to loosen the rest with my hand. All right, let's get the tube out and the tire liner because we'll need that as well. All right, with the new tire, throw the new rim liner on. Make sure you line up the nozzle hole for the inner tube. And make sure that this is nice and not twisted, like I have it. There we go. I'm gonna throw the mountain bike tire back on. Since this is a mountain bike, not a very high-end one, but just might as well. And if your bike has disc brakes, they have a mount for the disc brake system. I have rim brakes, which isn't necessarily recommended for an e-bike, especially when you add some weight to it, but I'm gonna make do with what I have. So now that we have the tube in there, let's install the cassette. Here's a close-up of what that looks like. We got the gears on, we got that torque washer on. I might need to change the direction of it once I get it mounted on the bike, and then we have everything in place. So you have the rest of my bike laying out there in the grass, you know, just drip drying. I'm gonna get the front tire put back on it, mount the rear tire, and then we will work on getting the pedal assist set up on this system. Okay, so front tire mounted and back to normal. I have the bike propped up using the handy dandy handlebar jack. This keeps your components and handlebars off of the ground when you're changing out tires. I also have a link for that in the description below, so check those out. They're great for protecting e-bike components. All right, so let's get this rear tire mounted. Okay, just so you can see the order of how the washers should go, this thick one is the one with the tooth on it, has the torque washer, and it just nuzzles right down into this slot here. And then you have your regular washer and then your nut to go on top of that. And it's the exact same thing on this side, a little bit harder to see, but the exact same concept there. So now I'm gonna flip the bike over so we can remove the crank arms and install the pedal assist sensor. So on this bike, it looks like I just have to remove a bolt and then use this crank arm puller to pull the crank off of the bottom bracket here. Now, a lot of bikes will have this as a big old Allen bolt, but luckily for me, the crank puller that came with the kit, this actually came with the Yose Power kit, fits right on, so I can use this to remove that bolt and then use the crank puller to pull the crank off of the bottom bracket. And then start tightening this against itself, and that should. And then with the crank arm puller, you just screw in this black side here and then start tightening this against itself, and that should coax this crank arm right off. just like that. Then you do the exact same thing on the other side. So I've run into something pretty interesting here on this particular bike. Normally you'll remove your bottom bracket using a tool like this, which is actually included in the kit, but I don't have that sort of connection here. So what I was able to do is just use my adjustable wrench and kind of hook onto these notches here and loosen it that way. We have to remove this to be able to put the pedal assist on this bike. Got the left side out. This is what the axle looks like. You have to be super careful with one like this because it has loose bearings. The other one that I've ever removed has been encased, but then we have to take off this side, this part of the bottom bracket, and this actually unscrews opposite of everything that you know. So you unscrew it clockwise to loosen it. Then with this out, you install the pedal assist sensor with the wires facing in toward the bike. That just slips right over, and then you tighten that back on. So it's the next evening, and it's not that this install takes that long, it's just that I ran into a bit of a snag that most of you, if you were to buy this kit, probably wouldn't run into, and that is my bike didn't come with a bottle cage. And you mount this battery mount to where your bottle cage goes. You know, that little metal thing that you put your water bottle into? Well, this bike did not have one. So I had to go to my father-in-law's. He helped me install the proper stuff so that I could make sure that my battery mount was safe and secure. Also, yesterday I pointed out that I installed the pedal assist sensor. I installed it on the right-hand side of the bike. But as I got looking, I noticed that this little plate here with these magnets in it, the arrows, if you can see those right there, were facing the wrong direction. So I had to take off the bottom bracket assembly and add my pedal assist to the left side. So when you install this plate, make sure that these big magnets are facing outward and the little pinpoints are facing inward, and the arrows will help you with that. Now I got to get the pedals back on and get the electronics all set up now that my battery system is ready to go. Let me just show you how that mounts. You secure it with a key, but you just put that on and slide it down, and you lock it into place. One thing that I forgot to mention is the kit also comes with an Allen key set, which is very helpful. I've been using my own set, but this is a nice thing to have, so it's nice to have these extra tools. But I'm going to get the crank arms put back on and everything back in place, and then we'll mount the electronics. Pedals are back on. Now we have a few wires to attach. Got the pedal assist wire and the wire to the motor. We'll worry about that in just a second, but we also need to add some components. This is the fun part. So we got our throttle, we got some new brake levers, got to get those on, and then we got this awesome display here. I'm gonna go ahead and get that all mounted, everything reconnected. My brake lines are in shambles, got to get those added. We should have an operational DIY e-bike. As I set this up, I figure you might be interested in the order that I have the components. So I have these pretty chunky gear shifters for this thing, so that does take up a lot of real estate on the handlebar. I might have to get some shorter grips or cut some grips so that they're not hanging off the edge there. So I have the shifter, then I have the brake lever, then I have the display. And then on the right side, I don't know, that's probably not gonna work. That's too much of a stretch. I might need to swap this side to brakes on the inside, then throttle, then shifter, because that's just too much of a stretch for my thumb. Okay, and to reattach the brake cable to the new brake levers, you'll just unscrew this piece here, pull as much of your brake line out. I guess you don't have to completely unscrew it, because there are some notches that you can run the wire up through, and then you hook it in through there, and then you should be ready to screw this back in. I'm just gonna screw it in all the way for now and then readjust as needed, of course getting everything situated, but that should give you some brake leverage there. You'll do the same on this side. So in this one, I'm just going to line up the groove. Oh, looks like I have my old components on here still. So I'll take that off, slide this in, pop this piece out, put that round knob in there, and then get that one set up. And they're definitely going to need some adjusting. We can deal with that later. Let's get everything plugged in. Provided is this hub of wires. The kind of octopus end or the spider end is going to go toward the front of the bike, and as you can see, it's nicely color coded so you know what goes where. So for instance, we have this yellow connector that will go into one of the brake sensors. There's some arrows that you want to make sure you get lined up, and they snap right into place. So you can tell you have your male and female ends. This yellow one looks like it goes into the throttle, so we'll line that one up and we're good to go there. We'll bring this hub of wires around toward the front of the bike. We'll plug this other brake connector here. And I don't think it matters which side goes where because it's just a cutoff to the motor. And then the only green connector goes to the display, just like that. All right, so you have kind of a nice clean cable management up front. You know, we can use the provided zip ties to make sure everything's nice and clean. And then this runs down to the controller and we'll connect that. The kit also comes with this frame bag here. So I think this is going to help out with cable management, but basically you can run the cable into this kit, kind of clean up the lengths you need, and then also we can run these wires up into the kit as well and make everything nice and clean. So make sure you got everything where you want it before you strap it down. But yeah, this actually helps out quite a bit. So let's look at the cables that we have. We have the motor cable. I'm just going to get these connected now, and then we will do some cable management, get it all cleaned up. I'll show you the final product. That looks like that goes in there. Then this main cable, make sure the arrows line up. That looks like it goes there. Also, everything feels nice and waterproof. All right, so got some cable management to do, but you get the picture. So I think I did pretty well with the cable management. You can follow this wire up here, kind of loops around onto the frame. Don't worry, I'll cut those. And then the motor connects here. I also have the pedal assist wire routed up and back down out of the way with some cable tie here. And then I have the battery and the main connector, that big old spool of wires all right here in the provided bag. Then we can follow this up to the front. Of course, there's some stuff I can do up front here, but the moment of truth has arrived. Let's get the battery connected and see if this thing turns on. I guess with the bag here, it makes kind of a tight squeeze. All right, we got it locked into place. The battery is off right now, so I'm going to turn that on with just that switch there. And then let's power on the display. All right, the display is on. We have power. So this display is kind of cool. I think I actually have it upside down. No, maybe I don't. Maybe that's our battery indicator there. We have our different modes. Now I haven't tightened down the throttle, but we got some power. Feels like it's a little out of balance, but can't complain about that. It's always nice when something works the first time. As you can see, it's dark outside. I have some lights going. So I'm gonna get everything buttoned up, and then tomorrow when I have some daylight, let's take it for a cruise. So here it is, the Yose power conversion kit, where you can turn any bicycle into an e-bike. Again, we have the 500 watt motor. We have the detachable battery. It's 48 volts, 13 amp hours. So that'll give you some pretty decent range around town. And then of course I got it all cleaned up here with the wires. Now, the last thing to do is give it a test ride. It got too dark last night to do it. So let's go take this bad bike for a spin. So I think the speedometer is in kilometers. but I got up to like 30 kilometers, not bad. It's pretty much what you'd expect from a 500 watt motor. Great for cruising around town. Definitely wouldn't take it in the mountains. But it has plenty of power to cruise around my neighborhood. Now, one thing's for sure, I would put it on a better bike. Yeah, but this kit is fun. If you want to get into an e-bike for an inexpensive price, this thing comes in at just around $500. So if you have a bike in your garage laying around, fix it up, throw on one of these Yose power conversion kits, and you have an e-bike and you're in the e-bike game. So thank you so much for Yose Power for sending me this kit to test out. They did not pay me to make this video, but they did send me the kit for free. Just to reiterate, I would put it on a little bit better bike, something with disc brakes, something with suspension. This one was just kind of an experiment, but it even worked for this bike too. Anyway, that does it for this video. If you like it, please hit that like button. If you're gonna do a conversion kit, or if you've done a conversion kit on your bike, I'd love to know about it down in the comments below. And of course, while you're down there, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Have a great rest of your day.